Some people think that we start normally with this side rope, then we make a split, make this Josephine knot, and then we reconnect the ropes again. But it's not like this. Hello everybody and welcome to another video. My name is Daniela and today I have something special for you. We will make this beaded crochet Josephine knot necklace together. I would be glad if you support my channel, subscribe and turn notifications on so I can shoot more tutorials for you. Also come and follow me on Instagram where I post a lot of stuff you are not gonna see here on YouTube. I decided to shoot this tutorial for you because this type of necklace looks amazing. When I first came across it on Pinterest, I couldn't even know how to crochet with beads, but I said to myself that one day I would learn it and I definitely had to make such a necklace. But I ran into a problem because I learned to crochet with beads relatively quickly and I gained the necessary practice, but I did not find any proper tutorial for this knot. I found some in Russian, but I didn't quite understand them. So I started experimenting myself and I created this tutorial for you in English. If you come across some other good tutorial, please let me know down below in the comments. I will be happy to look at it and compare it with mine. This tutorial, as I mentioned in the title, is one of the master classes. So, despite the fact that I will explain everything step by step, if you have no experience with crocheting with beads, I recommend you to check out my other videos about bead crochet where I explain everything in detail. Up here, you can see a whole playlist with those videos. Okay, so as optional we will need a bead mat. It's easier to pick up beads from the bead mat than, for example, from the table. Big eye needle, 2 paper clips and 2 safety pins, scissors, thread. I'm going to use cordonet of size 50 in this beige color. One of you advised me in the comments that Lisbeth from the Handy Hand store is an excellent alternative that can be bought in the USA. Or I also definitely recommend DMC Pearl Cotton threads. It's better to use 2 separate balls of thread for this project, as you will see in a moment, but it's not a condition. It can be done with only one, but it's more comfortable with 2 balls. And of course we will need beads. Originally I wanted to shoot a tutorial with Toho beads of size 8 and crochet a row with a diameter of 10 beads. And I also started filming this tutorial, but I found that it wasn't a good idea because the beginning of the row looked pretty messy, even though I followed the procedure correctly. Large beads seem to cover the initial loops, and in combination with the relatively small diameter of the rope, this was not a suitable choice. Of course, it's possible, and I also finished the necklace, but it was not suitable for an instructional video. So in the end, I decided to use size 10 beads. This is Chic Preciosa. We will need 2 colors to make this necklace. I chose this matte light orange and dark orange. And I will crochet a row with a large diameter. I will crochet the basic knot of 15 beads in diameter and expand the side ropes to 24 beads. I will show you all this in a moment. You will see the loops in which we will put the hook in a clearer way. And to make it all even more clearer, I will show you the problematic parts using larger beads and larger thread. But at the same time, I wanted to keep it so that you can see what it really looks like with the small beads and a thin thread, because that's how you will see it when you crochet your necklaces. Usually you will crochet these necklaces with beads of size 8, 10 or 11. And the diameter of the rope of the base knot you will have between 13 and 15 beads. These are probably such typical dimensions. And as always, don't forget that you find the list of all the products I use in the video in the description down below with links where you can buy it. Next we need a crochet hook. I like to use small crochet hooks, so today I will use size 0.5 millimeters. And finally we need some clasp. I'm going to use a turtle clasp, 3 jump rings, 1 3 millimeters and 2 4 millimeters. The bead crochet row will be very thick, so not even my biggest bead cap is enough. So I will sew my own beaded bead cap. And that's what we need to make it. A beading needle, some thread. I'm going to use Eslon thread in this beige color, 2 head pins, 2 flat bead caps, some glass beads, and these beads with pliers, chain nose pliers, round nose pliers, and side cutter. As you can see, I decided to make this central part in matte orange, then we make a transition to darker orange. You can find a link to the pattern for this transition in the description below the video. Some people think that we start normally with this side rope, then we make a split, make this Josephine knot, and then we reconnect the ropes again. But it's not like this. First we make this central Josephine knot, we join the ropes on both sides, and we continue with these side ropes. The beginning of this beaded crochet rope can be quite tricky. It's definitely good to have some practice with this. It's because we actually start here, in a very visible place, so there's no room for a mistake. If you are crocheting a classic bead crochet rope, you can start here, and if your rope is a little bit loose in the beginning, you can easily hide it in a bead cap and no one knows anything. But in case of this necklace, this is not possible. You can crochet only a chain stitch without beads, and after that you have to start crocheting with beads straight away and tightening the loops firmly and evenly. You can't crochet any more rows without beads to prepare loops for the first rows with beads. Okay, so first we make 2 ropes with 15 beads in one row. Each rope will be about 20 centimeters long. Of course, you can adjust the length to your requirements. If you want the knot to be more tightened, you can shorten the crochet ropes a bit, for example to 18 centimeters. If, on the other hand, you want a looser knot, crochet longer ropes, for example about 22 centimeters. We string the beads with our big eye needle. I will crochet 20 centimeters long row with 15 beads in one row, so I will need to string about 3 meters of beads. Simply 20 times 15 beads, and it's 300 centimeters, which is 3 meters. If you want to know more about these calculations, check my other video, you can see the link up here. I put on 3 meters and I can start crocheting. I use a single crochet technique. First I make a slip knot. And then make 15 chain stitches. Try to make the loops even, not too tight but not too loose, just right. If you have the loops too tight, you will have a big problem connecting the ropes. The loops will fit in, they will hide, and it will be very difficult to work with them. On the other hand, if the loops are too loose, the row will be much wider at the beginning. The loops will be large and it will not look nice. Now I have 15 chain stitches and I put the hook to the first loop we made to connect it to the circle. Don't twist the initial chain and put the hook directly to the loop under 2 threads. You can see this V shape here. So put the hook right there. In some videos I've seen a hook inserted under only 1 thread, like this. Just this 1 thread. And the V shape is down here. I tried it myself, but it occurs to me that the beginning does not look so nice and there is therefore less clear. So now we make a normal slip stitch to connect it to a circle. So yarn over and pull through both loops. 1, 2. I will show you again with a big yarn. I make a slip knot and 8 chain stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I put the hook directly to the loop under 2 threads. And I think that you can see the V shape here very well. Yarn over and pull through both loops on the hook. So back to the original work. I'm going to start adding beads now. I prepare first 15 beads, which will create the first row with beads. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. I slide them down to my beadwork. I put the hook in the same loop that I just closed the chain in a circle. Slide the bead down, yarn over, pull through one loop, yarn over again and pull through both loops. And continue the same way to the loop, to the next loop. Remember to have these two threads on top. Slide the bead down, yarn over, pull through one loop, yarn over again and pull through both loops. And again to the next loop, two threads on top, slide the bead down, yarn over, pull through one loop, yarn over and pull through both loops. I will show you again with some bigger beads. I will use size 4 beads and size 10 thread. I put the hook in the same loop that I just closed the chain in a circle, slide one bead down, yarn over, pull through one loop, yarn over again and pull through both loops. To the next loop, you can see the V shape here, slide the bead down, only one bead down, yarn over, pull through one loop, yarn over again and pull through both loops. Now we have the first row with 15 beads and we will continue with the second row. I prepare some beads, put the hook to the loop of the first bead, slide a bead down, yarn over, pull through one loop, yarn over again and pull through both loops. And continue the same way to the next loop, slide one bead down, yarn over, pull through one loop, yarn over and pull through both loops. And again with size 4 beads, put the hook to the loop of a bead. Note that we always insert the hook under 2 threads. Slide a bead down, yarn over, pull through one loop, yarn over again and pull through both loops. And to the next loop, you can see again 2 threads, slide a bead down, yarn over, pull through one loop, yarn over again and pull through both loops. Under 2 threads, slide a bead down, yarn over, pull through and pull through both loops. Remember to make the loops even, not too tight but not too loose. The loops should not be loose because, as I said before, it will be practically in the center of the necklace. It will be visible. And continue until we have 20 centimeters long beaded crocheted rope. If you want to learn more about bead crochet, I made a lot of tutorials for beginners where I explain it in detail. So if you are interested, check also my other videos. You can see the link up here. Okay, so now we have 2 ropes, each 20 centimeters long. I will not end the ropes, I will not cut a thread. And instead of a hook, I insert a paper clip into the loop. And now we can make a knot. So I take one rope and connect the ends with a safety pin. Try to connect the end and the beginning of the rope like this. because these are exactly the spots we need to cover, we need to hide them. And now I turn the loop to get 2 holes. Take the other rope and we put it in this smaller hole, ideally so that the unfinished part points downwards. We insert the lower part under the loop and I run the other end through the loop this way. And up. Now we can proceed to connect the individual ropes. I recommend crocheting slowly and carefully to get the best result. First, we find the bead that we crocheted first. It's this bead that has no neighbor next to it on the right side. At the same time, a thread leads from the loop of this bead. We will always connect 3 loops together from each rope. It doesn't matter if the ropes have a diameter of 10 or 15 beads, we will just connect 3 loops. Of course, if the ropes have an extreme diameter with a small or large, such as 5 beads or 35 beads, we would adjust the number of connected loops individually, but for such, let's say, normal dimensions of rope, we will always suffice with connecting 3 loops. And the 3 loops are these: a loop of the first bead and a side loop on each side. So I remove a paper clip. And I will put the hook back where I left off. I put the hook normally to the next loop and then I put the hook into the loop to the right of the first bead. This is the first bead, so we put the hook to a loop on the right. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again and pull through 2 loops and do the same again to the next loop and to the loop of the first bead, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again and pull through remaining 2 loops, and last time the same to the next loop and to the loop to the left of the first bead, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again and pull through the remaining 2 loops. As you can see, now we have ropes connected by 3 loops. I remind you that the diameter of each rope is 15 beads. I took 3 loops from each, so we have 12 free loops left from each rope. This means that we will now continue with one connected rope that has 24 beads in one row. For checking, I recommend counting the number of loops. So we will continue to crochet normally as we had one row with a diameter of 24 beads. I will show you again with size 8 beads. I will connect these 2 ends of the same rope together. So first, we will find the bead that we crocheted first. It's this bead with no neighbor next to it on the right side. And a thread leads from the loop of this bead. I put the hook normally to the next loop. And then I put the hook into the loop to the right of the first bead. Yarn over, pull through these 2 loops, yarn over again and pull through the remaining 2 loops. And do the same again to the next loop and to the loop of the first bead. That's this one. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again, and pull through the remaining 2 loops. And last time the same, to the next loop, and to the loop to the left of the first bead. Yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again, and pull through the remaining 2 loops. Now we can go back to our original orange crochet rope. So I crochet normally as if I had one rope with diameter of 24 beads. There is the connection, so I will put the hook normally to the next loop, slide a bead down, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, and pull through both loops. And we will continue this way. We will do this circle. Don't be afraid of the transition. This way we simply jump to the second rope. If you are not sure which loop to put the hook into, I always recommend counting the number of loops to get your work done. We should have 12 loops on each side. The total diameter is 24 beads now, so I will count if it's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's also okay. I will also show you the transition with size 8 beads. So I need to get to this point to jump to the second rope. Simply jump to the second rope this way. Again, don't be afraid of the transition and continue with the next row with 24 beads in one row. So to be sure, we will check the number of loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 24. In the next rows, the row will be unified and it will look like one rope. I crochet another 5 rows. This is what the finished connection looks like after 5 more crocheted rows. I cut a thread And do exactly the same on the other side. Now I'm going to put on a color gradient. You will find the link to the pattern in the description of the video. So I put on the beads according to this pattern. If you don't know how to work with these patterns, I made a lot of videos about it, so feel free to check them. You can find the link to one of them up here. If you don't want to make the transition, so of course you don't have to, you can continue with only one color. And I can start to crochet again. I simply pull a loop of a new thread into the last loop of my old thread. And I can start to crochet with beads like normal. This is how the transition looks crocheted. And now cut a thread and put on only dark orange beads and continue to crochet with these beads. The bead crochet rope will be very thick, so not even my biggest bead cap is enough. So I will sew my own beaded bead cap. Okay, so we finished the beaded crochet rope, and what I'm going to do next is that I will show you how to sew the bead cap. I've already done one, so I could test it, how it looks, and now I will show you how to do it. So first I will finish this thread. I weave the thread into my beadwork, the bead crochet rope. Just to be sure, I make one knot here. And then I go through the walls of the bead crochet rope. Don't go zigzag like this, just through the walls of the bead crochet rope. And cut the thread. Now we prepare some beads. These are the same beads as I used for bead crochet rope. Cut a piece of thread. I'm going to cut about 1 meter. It should be enough. Thread the beading needle. And we start with normal, easy, even count peyote stitch. If you want to learn more about this stitch, check my other video, you can see the link up here. So I'll put on my bead stopper to the end of the thread, but it's not necessary, you don't have to do it. And I pick up 8 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I bring them down. I pick up another 1 seed bead, skip over the last seed bead, and go through the next seed bead. Like this. And again the same, pick up 1 seed bead, skip the next seed bead, and go through the seed bead. And continue the same way. Skip one and go through the next. And the last one. I flip it and continue the same way. And this time I will add 1 seed bead to each gap. So in the next row I will add 4 beads, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Flip over and the same again. We are sewing this part, so it has to be long enough to wrap around our bead crochet rope. The peyote stripe is long enough. And now I will connect it together. You can see that it fits together, so I use a zigzag stitch. One to the left and one to the right. And now I can make a knot with these two tails. And I weave this short tail in. Simply go through a couple of beads, make some circles, back and forth. And then you can cut the thread. Now I go down and up through these edge beads like this. I need to exit from one of the edge beads this way. So now I pick up one bead, go down through the next bead, and back up to the next bead. And again the same. Pick up one bead, go down through the next bead, and up, and continue the same way back to the end here. So now I need to get it down and back up like this. I need to get to this bead. I need to exit from one of the standing beads, and I pick up another 2 seed beads. I slide them down, and I go through I skip this one and go through this second bead and through this very next standing bead, and tighten it well. And again the same. Pick up 2 seed beads, slide them down, skip this one, go through this and through the standing bead. And again continue the same way till the end. And now we go with our needle to the standing bead. We need to exit from this bead. And we connect all the standing beads of this edge. Go through all these beads and pull the beads into a circle. And tighten the thread firmly. And this is how it looks. And this central hole is still big, so we need to add some more beads to cover it. So I will put 1 seed bead here on top of each one of the 2 seed beads. I will show you. So I will pick up one bead, I'm exiting this bead, and I will go through this bead again, like this. And I go through the next bead also, without adding new bead. And another one. Now I add one bead and go through this bead again, like this. And now go through the next 2 seed beads again. Pick up one seed bead and go through this bead. And without adding a new bead, we go through the next 2 beads. And again the same. And now we pull the beads into a circle again. So I go with my needle to this edge, one of the edge beads, and go through these all beads we have just added and tighten the thread so it forms another circle, a smaller one. And we are finished. Now we need to weave the thread in. So I go through a couple more beads to secure it. I wanted this beadwork to be more firm. And I go under the thread between the beads and make a knot. Tighten it well. And I keep this tail so I can sew it together. But first of all, I will take a head pin and go through this bead cap and through this central hole of my beaded cap and secure it inside. Now I add my glass bead. It's not necessary, but I like it this way. I cut it about 1 centimeter from the glass bead, bend it and form a loop. Now I will put my beaded cap to my bead crochet rope and I sew it together. First I will go through the beads towards the edge and then I go through the bead crochet rope. I help myself with pliers and secure it well in place. I recommend to not go all the way through the whole bead crochet rope, just go through the walls of the bead crochet rope, so it can hold the circular shape better. And finally we can weave the thread in. So I go through more beads and weave it in. Change direction several times and circle the beads around. You can also make some knots if you want, but it's not necessary. And finally we can attach a clasp. I open a jump ring with my pliers, put it into the loop, add one part of the toggle clasp, and close the jump ring. And do the same on the other side. On the side where I have this bar, I like to add two jump rings, because it makes this part longer and then it's more comfortable to connect these two parts together. So first I open the bigger one, and then the smaller one, and I add this bar. I can't believe it's finally finished. I don't know how many hours it took me to make it, but it was a lot of hours, but I think the finished necklace worth it. So in conclusion, I would like to summarize the most important points. Don't learn to crochet this necklace with large beads and a small diameter, for example with a diameter of 10 beads of size 8. The beginning of the row would not be clear and the loops would be difficult to see. When crocheting the first row with beads, insert the hook into the loop under the two threads, under the so-called V symbol. When connecting the ropes, the loops will look clear. Choose the right size of beads for the size of the thread. You often write to me that the thread between the beads is visible. It's mostly because you have too small beads and a thick thread. Less often because you tighten too little or have a very big hook. So if you have this problem, try bigger beads or thinner thread or take a smaller hook. Tighten the loops evenly, loosely rather than tightly, but not too loosely. It sounds weird, I know. Be especially careful at the beginning when you crochet two ropes, which will then form a Josephine knot, because both the beginnings and ends of the row will be placed in a very, very visible place, practically in the middle of the necklace. So you definitely want it to look nice. The ropes that form the knot are approximately 20 centimeters long. You can adjust the length, I recommend ranging from 18 to 25 centimeters. It depends on how big the bead you use, how thick you have the rope, and how much you want the Josephine knot tightened, whether you want some gaps or not. If you have a thin row with small beads, you will reduce the length and vice versa. And finally, don't forget that there are no limits to the imagination, so don't be afraid to experiment. And that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this masterclass tutorial. Write me in the comments if you would like to see more masterclass tutorials in the future. Also, write me in the comments if you have any questions or just want to say hello. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and see you next time. Bye!